So where did this leave us now? It feels like mechanically we got ourselves into a oh, this gets us back here. Yeah, it feels like she must really love me. I guess she must love me an awful lot. Maybe I ought to trust her more. Yeah, if we don't distrust Nagi enough by the end, it feels like the two endings we got earlier, where we'd go back to sleep, I feel like those are non-standard endings. Feels like, in a mechanical sense, that if we make it to the end of the day, to dinner time, then it checks our unease. And if it's too low, we give in and stay. And decide to try out having GF. And if we do have enough unease, then we try to escape. Nagi stretches, then okay. We are skipping. A little lonely. Apartment feels very dull and drab without Nagi to brighten things up, and it's a bit chilly too. So I've gotten used to having Nagi around. Kimberly was nice enough for the most part. I just don't have any memories of her. That being the case, can I really trust her? What should I do now? And we check, yep. So we fail the unease check at the very end. And we die. We die living eternal dream life with our wonderfully perfect GF Nagi. Well, seeing the opening narration again, it really does jive with the theory of Ayumu got stabbed. This describes a sharp pain that hurts like hell. And then he passes out due to the pain, most likely. And then comes to in dream world with Dream Nagi. And he now has to remember what happened to him and escape, lest he gets lost in dream sense. Gets lost in his loneliness and despair, and spends the rest of his existence with Dream Nagi. There's also a line with the opening intro here that really stuck with me. There's worse things you can do in life than cease to exist. Let's move through this here, skip through. We're starting from scratch. We may as well start from the top here. I'm sorry, but even if you are my girlfriend, I don't remember you at all. Are we really a couple? Well, of course we are. That was an angry glare. Nagi glares at me. It's quite an unnerving expression, actually, which makes me tremble. Why'd she look so angry? I understand being upset, but I wouldn't lie about this, Ayumu. Do you think I'm a liar? No, I guess not, but, oh, good. Don't have to be silly questions, then. It's quite hurtful, really, being told by your own boyfriend that he doesn't remember you. If you were as sick as you are, I wouldn't be upset. But it's to be expected, I guess, that you'd be a little confused, given you have such a high fever. Guess I can let you off the hook. For now, at least. Alright. Move through here, bit of a... Is this safe to eat? I'm not sure if I should eat this. I just don't know who Nagi is, not really. Press F to doubt. Press X to doubt. He says he's my girlfriend, but I don't recognize her. Well, I know she could be a member of a cult. Could this all be a ploy to brainwash me? It's unlikely, but, well, aren't you going to eat, Ayumu? Look almost as pale as the porridge. Wonder how fair of an assessment that is. I can't see my own reflection, so I can't confirm or deny it. I wouldn't be surprised if it is true, though. I do feel pretty rotten. I don't know what to make of Nagi's hospitality, or of Nagi herself for that matter. But perhaps I'd be better off going along with what she wants. I don't want to upset her. What do I even have to be suspicious of, anyway? Am I afraid that Nagi might have sneaked a razor blade into my food? That'd be ridiculous. She'd obviously go with needles. I'm not thinking clearly. Ayumu, don't you like porridge? Oh no, it looks really good. I'm sure it'll be delicious. You gonna eat it then? It'll go cold if you keep dilly-dallying, silly. Right, I'll try a bit of it. Thank you, Nagi. No problem. You don't need to thank me. I'm your girlfriend, after all. Is Crimson Fantasia really that successful? Here we get to the obvious question here. Only in my dreams. No matter what Nagi says, I don't think Crimson Fantasia has ever been very popular. I've sunk endless hours into that story, but I don't think it ever caught on. A few kind people commented on the story in the beginning, saying it seemed promising. Even those regulars dropped off past the 10th chapter or so. Audience retention is very difficult. I adored my story, but the public at large didn't seem to care very much about it, if at all. It was much harder to get any meaningful attention than even a cynic like myself had imagined. I was a nobody, really. But she at least was always there for me. Yep. She is in fact Nagiko. Now if we go back to sleep, do we die? Oh, yep, we die. We don't want to do that. Stay awake. Chidangi? Doubt. Would Nagiko really say all of that? Nagiko used to praise Crimson Fantasia a lot, but her praise wasn't wholly devoid of constructive criticism. She'd always tell me when certain story elements didn't come together. Oh, so this impression of her isn't jiving with the fan we knew in reality? She complimented my work on the characters just like Nagi did, but she thought the drama I introduced in Chapter 34 with Eris's long-lost sister, Harmonia, was sloppily executed. In fact, I don't think Nagiko ever much liked the inclusion of Harmonia in Crimson Fantasia. She said Eris's relationship with her sister took too much attention away from her budding romance with Haru. Just Nagiko liked Crimson Fantasia. She never called me a genius either. Not like Nagi just did. I'm certain of that much, at least. But am I imagining that? Uh-oh, my head is starting to hurt again. I don't know what to think, but I do know, despite my misgivings, that something isn't quite right about this. Nagi's smile looks, all of a sudden, disconcertingly inorganic. Huh? Oh no. The air about me begins to hum, as though full of 1,000 languidly buzzing insects, not the bees. Reality seems to shift, to warp, and then, what are we gonna see? Oh, okay. Ayumu? Oh. Okay, we're back. She's holding a knife. Just in the middle of cleaning it because the silvery blade of the knife is damp with water. A few clear, crystalline droplets of water roll down the shaft of the knife, pour at the junction where the blade meets the handle. I'm going to let this play out because I just mainly want to see it play out. I'm intrigued. Nagi's fingers are wet, and so is the front of her blouse. Watches round, pearl-like droplets roll off the knife, then fall through the air. It's almost hypnotic. I find myself staring at the sharp blade of Nagi's knife, and the water that's trickling down it until my head begins to ache. A dull, buzzing sound fills my skull. The knife is a big memory point. Because I'm pretty sure we were stabbed. I think that's what we're getting at here, but I feel like I'm on the brink of remembering something, but... Ayumu! Knife is gone. We'll sit. What should I do? We give Nagi my phone. Yeah, we get an early end. Answer the phone. Will this change because we've got so much? No, we have much more unease from that. If we... Huh. This gets us some unease off. What happens if we... Just want to see how this plays out. Moving cup noodles. Hey, don't you yeah me, mister. I'm saying this, because I care about you. Oh, yep. Now she's gone, I feel. Oh, so we just picked that unease up right back. And you're gonna do that. So lonely. Nice enough for the most part. I don't have any memories of her. What happens if we get to the unease check with 65% unease? Oh, we get a choice. We get a choice. Stay and wait for Nagi. Yeah. We get a choice to leave. Leave the apartment. Turn my options over in my head for a few moments before eventually I come to a conclusion. I'm going to have to leave. Something strange is going on here, from the persistent static of my television to the crying voice which called me on the telephone. I want to figure out what it is. I'm not going to make any headway on that if I do everything Nagi asks of me. She might call herself my nurse, but she's starting to feel eerily like a prison warden. That being the case, I have no choice but to stage a jailbreak. I throw my covers back, which feel a little damp. I think I must have sweated over them. Gross. And haul myself to my feet. My legs feel weak, but they don't, to my relief, collapse beneath me. I'm just about strong enough that I can support myself. Looks like the light is changing in here. Yeah, the light is definitely changing in here. Strong enough to buoy me from my bedside and over to the kitchen. Push the door open, which cleaves to my touch with a creak, then step inside. Oh, the moment I cross the threshold of my kitchen, however, pain pierces my temple, and I double in on myself. My fingers fly to my forehead, and I groan. Oh? What? Trash. The vision begins to blur. I blink. I'm not going to pass out, am I? My fever really that bad? For a few moments I see, or I think I see at least, the way my kitchen ought to be. I see a sink piled high with dirty pots and dishes, some of which are cracked. The countertops are covered with crumpled, empty soda bottles and aluminum cans. The floor is covered in rubbish, so much so I can scarcely see the fake wooden boards beneath it. Flies hum in the air, suspended on silvery wings which beat back and forth. There are flies in the sink. There are flies in the dustbin, which is overflowing. One of them lands on my forearm, and I cry in alarm. Huh? I slap at the fly, but it evades me. It buzzes off, its wings beating back and forth with a droning hum. A dull pain throbs in my arm, where I slap myself, and in my palm. Oh, I must have used more force than I realized. I blink, and then... Oh, the world is reverted back to the way it was before. I slap myself back into unreality? The countertops are clean, as is the floor. Everything is impeccably tidy. Plates and cups and dishes all stowed away inside their respective cupboards. The kitchen looks wholly respectable again. The sort of kitchen not even the meanest, pettiest of landlords could find fault with. It's a tidy kitchen, indisputably, but it isn't my kitchen. It isn't what I remember. None of this is. What is warping around me? Why does my head hurt so much? I stagger through the kitchen on my uneasy feet, half expecting to step on some crumpled pet bottles. Strewn packages from convenience store food, and head towards the sink. Fingers which are white and shaking grip the edge of the sink for support. With unfocused eyes I look down. There should be dirty crockery in here, but my expectations are once again betrayed. The sink is more or less empty, apart from the knife Nagi was washing earlier. She must have forgotten it. Why'd she need a knife? to make rice porridge. It was awfully clumsy of her. I eyed the knife with some trepidation, and see my own face reflected in its silvery surface. It almost seems to be goading me into taking it. Maybe I ought to bring it with me, just in case. Just in case what? I don't know, I feel so unnerved, however. Good protection would go a long way. This knife is quite long, though. There's no way I'd be able to hide it on me. Maybe there'll be a more inconspicuous weapon somewhere else in the kitchen. My eyes dart here and there, until eventually I spot a pair of scissors. These are scissors that are used for cutting meat. Why do I have these? I don't cook. They're slotted neatly in a circular pot of similar utensils, wooden spoons, tongs, and the like. I mean, I don't cook, but I probably got the standard set of kitchen equipment when I started out college life here, you know what I mean? These scissors are smaller than the knife. They should be easier to hide. I think they probably fit inside my pocket. Or if push comes to shove, inside the waistband of my trousers. What should I do? Oh boy, now we're getting into some serious shit. Now we are in it. Let's not take anything. I think you'd better off going outdoors empty-handed. I wouldn't want to risk upsetting Nagi should she see me with a weapon. In any case, I can't think of why I might need one. Why would Nagi want to hurt me? She's supposed to be my girlfriend. I do see here, I'd like to think I'd be able to talk things through with her. What would I do with a pair of scissors anyway? Much less a knife. I'm not a violent person. I feel faint at the sight of blood. A decision made, I turn on my heels, then approach the front door. And she's right there. Boss fight time. Oh, the pulsating. I fully expected it to be locked. Why should anything in my attempted escape be easy? But by surprise, the handle twists easily enough beneath my fingers. The lock clicks, and then the door, rather anticlimactically, opens inwards. I sigh, expelling a warm, feverish breath into the cool air. That was quite the surprise, but I'm not sure if it's wholly pleasant. If the door had refused to budge, that would have given me an excuse to give up on my attempted escape. Wouldn't have to take my future into my own hands. It sounds like quite a tempting thought, actually. Sweating myself to the votive hands of my sweet, doting girlfriend. No, can't let myself think like that. The door is open, despite all the odds. It must be a sign of something, surely. It means I shouldn't stay here. It's time to face reality. Hello? Thoughts like this swirl through my mind as I stand there at the threshold of my door, looking out into the hall. The hallway is dark, save for the strip lighting on the ceiling. These lights flicker ominously on and off. Can't see any windows. I don't know what the outside looks like. Just one long, endless hallway, beige walls and a brown floor. Fluorescent lights. The lights are too bright. My eyes are starting to hurt. My head hurts too. Treating would be much, much easier, but I know if I did that, I would never be able to forgive myself. I squeeze my eyes shut in an attempt to steady myself. I inhale. Then I step into the hallway. The door of my apartment swings shut behind me with a dull thud, one that seems almost apocryphal. There'll be no turning back now. I pad down the hallway slowly, softly, my footsteps shy and shuffling. I'm grimly aware that with every step I take, that Nagi might return, might catch me trying to abscond. I look around anxiously as I walk. Doors pass me by, door after door after door, but they're all shut. The handles affixed to these doors look oddly sinister in the dark, yet the lights which keep guttering me on and off. They protrude from the smooth, wooden surfaces of the doors like something violent. Light catches on these door handles, dozens and dozens of them, stretching on for infinity, and I shiver. It feels like the hallway is choking me. Where are the stairs? How am I going to escape? Maybe I was a fool to disobey Nagi. I should have ignored her. She told me to stay inside for a reason. Now I'm starting to think that maybe this was the reason. She told me not to leave because I can't leave. Is it an option? I want to turn back, but I don't. Instead, I continue to walk. I walk and I walk and I walk until the backs of my feet rub against my shoes and it starts to hurt. My heart is hammering in my chest. I can hear it reverberating inside my skull. That doesn't stop me from moving, though. I keep on walking. I walk and 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 I walk. And the backs of my feet are still rubbing against my shoes. It still hurts. My heart is hammering in my chest. I can hear it reverberating inside my skull. It doesn't stop me from moving, though. I continue to walk. Walk and I 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 walk. And backs of my feet are really rubbing against my shoes now. It hurts a lot. My heart is hammering in my chest. I can hear it reverberating inside my skull. I still don't stop, though. I continue to walk. Walk and I 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 walk until... Nagi? Huh? I reach what seems to be a bed in the hallway. There's something different, at long last. I must be making progress. I hurry onwards, hoping to find the stairs, to find a lift, to find something to help me escape from this nightmare. Like all nightmares, my attempts of escape are soon halted. I suppose I should have expected it. I think part of me did. I'm just waiting for it. 100 unease! She is here. She has come to greet me. Her irises are cold and hard, like two stones pressed into her skin, and her lips are pursed into a line which betrays not even the slightest flicker of emotion. In one hand she's holding a shopping basket, a cheap plastic thing, from which the Y-shaped head of a green onion protrudes. How cliche. It's such a cliche I could laugh. I was thinking that. Nagi. I inhale. What are you? What are you doing here might be a more apt question, but it would be a pointless one. I know what she's doing here. She's come to stop me from leaving. As to what her motives are, however... You have to ask? Nagi's voice when it comes to every bit as cold and hard as her expression, devoid of the cheery lilt to which I had grown so accustomed. I'm your girlfriend, Ayumu. I love you more than anybody else in the whole world. But right now, I think I hate you more than anybody else in the whole world, too. Nagi delivers this without any emotion whatsoever. Her love and her hate are wholly dispassionate. She might as well be talking about the weather. You shouldn't be out here. I told you not to leave. I made you promise. You said you would stay put. Why didn't you? Do you want to upset me? No, that isn't it. That isn't it. Then what is it? There wasn't any particular reason, really. I just wanted some fresh air. It's an excuse, of course, and a blatantly obvious one at that. It's almost laughable, in fact, given how dark and featureless this hallway is. How utterly devoid of windows. This is a place that seems sealed off from the outside world. There is no fresh air to be had here. It's all shut up and stagnant. What a fool I am. Nagi takes a step forwards. Her hair shifts about her shoulders. Her eyes bore into mine as, quietly, she says, I don't believe you. Nagi, please! I think you're lying to me. That is one thing I simply cannot forgive. You upset me, Ayumu. You've been a very, very bad boy, and bad boys deserve to be punished. Nagi, wait! Can't we talk about this? I cry at Nagi, but to little avail. I don't think she's listening to me anymore. If she ever was. Did she ever care what I wanted? Nagi's face is mask-like. Her eyes are blank and staring. Two cutouts in her white, featureless face. Grip on the carrier bag slackens. Bag hits the floor with a dull, most anticlimactic thud. And then she steps toward me. You promised me you wouldn't leave, Ayumu. You promised. How could you lie to a cute girl like me? How could you? Nagi! I say her name, but it feels like a pointless gesture. I don't think she can be reasoned with. Discourse was never an option. Diplomacy has failed. Time to run. I have no choice, really, but to run. I don't know what it is exactly that Nagi means to do to me. I don't want to stay and find out. It's with a desperate gasp that I turn on my heels, almost stumbling in the process. Nagi isn't moving very quickly, but she's almost upon me already. How is that possible? Everything seems to be possible here. Insert that hallway gif of Ayumu running down the hallway and Nagi hovering down the hallway after him, T-posing. Reality is contracting around itself. It's compressing. My world is shrinking. The world is this apartment. This apartment is under Nagi's control. Does that make Nagi the world? What am I then? Can I really escape from her? I don't know, but I have to try. But I didn't grab a weapon. Run through hallway after hallway, pain knifing between my ribs all the while. That's an interesting turn of phrase. I wonder what that could be caused by. Walls around me are morphing. They're melting. Wallpaper flakes off of strips around me, as though the apartment is peeling itself like a giant apple. That's a wonderfully simple, yet remarkably clever turn of phrase, assuming, of course, that the truth is what we are presuming here, that Ayumu is in this predicament because he got stabbed. The light fixtures above me blink, they gutter. The world is plunged into darkness before illuminating itself brightly, too brightly. I blink. White spots burst in front of my vision like fungi. The hallway is undulating. The world is pulsating. It changes so much with every step. I feel dizzy. It's hard to maintain my balance, especially with Nagi pursuing me. Is she gaining on me? I swear I can feel breath upon the back of my neck, but I know I can't stop to check. I can't turn around. Oh, these are twisting. Dash through beige hallways and blue hallways, garish orange hallways and high-ceilinged hallways. Hallways are all devoid of windows. They twisted, they turned like plastered, papered, painted rabbit warrens. Can't hear much beyond the sounds of my own footsteps, beyond my own heart beating. There's a faint sound in the background like running water and an omniscient, ever-present hum. Flies. The kitchen was full of them. They hovered about the black rubbish bags which lay, decaying, upon the floor. I didn't bother to throw the bags away. I didn't try to get rid of the flies. It felt like a pointless endeavor. I endured them instead. I've been enduring a lot recently, but I can't keep doing that. I need to escape. Yes, wake up. There's still a chance you can live and better yourself. And pull yourself out of this slump. My man. No idea how long I've been running. These hallways seem to stretch on forever. I can't make any sense out of them. My mind seems to have shrunken during my desperate flight to the size of a walnut. I can't fit any thoughts into my head. They're leaking out of me. The desperate struggle against unlife. I should say the last vestiges of life. I can't fit any thoughts into my head. They're leaking out of me. Coming undone. Still, Nagi continues to pursue me. I don't think she'll ever stop. Doesn't matter how fast I run, she'll find me again. Why wouldn't she? She's my girlfriend after all. She loves me. But why? With this question in mind that I finally escape from the maze of hallways which trap me among them. Ooh. No weapon? I descend a flight of stairs, the soles of my shoes slapping against every step, and emerge into a large empty space with beige walls and a carpeted floor. I recognize this room. This is the entrance of my apartment building. I'd only approach those glass doors at the end, and I'll be able to escape. That is my plan, at least, but my jubilation soon runs dry when I approach the exit. Doors are glass and should, therefore, be transparent, but I can't see anything beyond them. I can't see the street. I can't see the road. I can't even see the sky. Where did the rest of the world go? I approach the doors. They ought to be automatic, but they don't move. Instead, they remain stubbornly shut. Well, shit. So much for that plan. Hey, Ayumu. I can hear Nagi's footsteps behind me, descending the stairs. Her pace is as slow as ever, unhurried. Now I know why she didn't bother running. She knew I wouldn't be able to escape from her. She knew there was nowhere for me to go. What do you think you're doing? Didn't I tell you it was pointless? I open my mouth, but I can't say much more than that. My saliva tastes like ashes on my tongue, and my stomach churns. You don't need to reply to me. Don't bother. I don't want to hear more of your lies. Nagi continues to advance on me, her arms swinging limply beside her. It hurts me, you know, when you run away from me like this. Can't you understand that? Thud, thud, thud. Go Nagi's footsteps. Even they sound unforgiving. She's relentless. Let's stop playing silly games. Come back upstairs with me. Let me put you to bed. What are you hoping to gain anyway by coming down here? Didn't you give up on the outside world already? You must have. Otherwise, you never would have been able to meet me. Huh? Something about what Nagi just said strikes a chord within me. I feel like I've been drifting ever since I woke up, but something has clicked into place. I can remember what happened. First, there was the pain. When it hit me, it was intense. So much so, I felt like vomiting. For a while, pain was all I knew. It was all my body was. There was a loud squeal of tires on tarmac and the pitter-patter of rain, which fell on the damp, glossy road. The smell of oil in the air, and prismatic colors reflected in the puddles scattered around me. There was blood, too, an awful lot of it. I hadn't known I had quite so much blood inside me. My temple was cut. My body was crumpled. I could hardly breathe. My temple was cut? Oh, she was not stabbed. He was in a car accident. Or at least got hit by a car. Because he doesn't seem like the type who drives. Maybe he was in a car crash. There's blood to an awful lot of it. My temple was cut. My body was crumpled. I could hardly breathe. I didn't want to breathe. People around me were shouting, screaming. Pedestrians clustered around me, stepping through puddles, splashing icy droplets of water about me in their wake. Somebody probably called an ambulance. I don't remember that, though. This is where everything starts to get hazy. My consciousness begins to unravel. Then I passed out. When I finally woke up, hours or days, weeks or months or centuries later, I was here, in this facsimile of my apartment, with Nagi sitting next to me. She said she was my girlfriend. I doubt that, though. I've never had a girlfriend before, and now I'll never get the chance. I was hit by a car. I should be dead. What's going on? You couldn't handle the real world, Ayumu. It was too much for you. There was a lot of pressure on you to perform. From your parents, from your professors, and from yourself. And it all became too much. You're delicate, so you got scared. You were afraid you would break. So you decided to run away from it all. No. Yes, you did. You know you did. You know what you are. Nagi takes another step forwards until her nose is almost brushing mine. She reaches out. You're a coward. Wow, you are directly calling me out. Then her white, slender fingers seize my neck. Ooh, time to die. Reality distorts the moment she touches me. Static hums inside my skull. My head feels like it's going to split apart. My body, sapped of all energy, lists to one side. My head hits the carpeted floor with a thud. A second in that roadside, and stars explode behind my eyelids. I blink. Oh! I don't know how much time has passed. When I finally come to, I see that Nagi is sitting on top of me. She's pinning me in place against the threadbare carpet, her thighs cinching my body in place upon the floor. Fingers of both her hands are wound around my throat, and her eyes are trained upon mine. The grasp she has on my neck is painful, but I think the soulless, empty look in those wide, tunnel-like eyes of hers is even more so. I can't writhe away from her. I can't escape from her. This is a really good CG. She has to be immobilized so effectively that she might as well have driven nails in my palms. Just give it up, Ayumu. Nagi speaks calmly, despite the violence of her actions. She sounds hollow, empty. People like you can't survive in the real world. You weren't made for it. You're too sensitive. Every failure felt like a knife to your throat. Every single setback made you want to cry. Damn, this game's really calling me out. Nagi's fingertips bite into my skin. It hurts. That is something I still struggle with. Especially the stress response of shutting yourself away when things get rough. When I feel like a failure. I much too easily shut myself off from people. And it's... let's say, not related to life directly, not necessarily. Other aspects of life, not necessarily this, but it hurts. You kept picking yourself up as best as you could, but eventually enough was enough. You're weak, like I said, so your enough came before most people's would. You couldn't keep going. Nagi's eyes are so big, I feel like I could drown in them. There's no shame in that. You already recognize your limitations. That's why you did what you did. I don't need to tell you about your failures. You know about them already. Nagi. Nagi's long, fair hair is brushing my cheek. Tickles. Why are you doing this? You should know that already. My answer is the same as it's always been. I'm doing this for your sake. Mine? Yes, yours. I think you'll be happier this way. And deep down I know that you think the same. Otherwise you never would have stepped out into that busy road. Oh, isn't this what you wanted? Is it what I wanted? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't think I want to remember. My thoughts are all a blur, but... Huh? Nagi's words have jostled something in my memory. He said I walked into the road. It can't have been an accident, then. It was something I did on purpose. It isn't something a happy, well-adjusted person does. And that is not the kitchen of a happy, well-adjusted person. I've been happy or well-adjusted in a long, long time. I was trying to forget about that. I wanted to forget about it, but... It's all coming back to me. I can remember what I did. I remember who I am. I'm Sato Ayumu, a second-year student at a small, relatively unimpressive university in Tokyo. I've always been quiet, so I've never been very good at making friends. I didn't have any friends, in fact, at university. The first year was lonely, but I still attended my lectures. Still got my essays done. I completed my end-of-year exams. I did what was expected of me. When my parents called me, as they often did, to come check up on me, I told them everything was fine. I said I'd been having fun. That was a lie. I was tired and stressed and overwhelmed more often than not. I was sad with it, because everybody else seemed to be enjoying themselves, but I wasn't. I didn't know how to enjoy myself. It was partway into my second year that I gave up on everything. Going to my lectures stopped feeling like a worthwhile endeavor. Burnout. Big burnout. It didn't make me happy. I didn't think anything could have cheered me up beyond human interaction, but that was impossible. I was too awkward. I didn't know what to do, so I retreated in on myself. I pushed myself away inside my apartment because that was easier than going outdoors. It was easier than making an effort to change. I didn't take out the rubbish, so it overflowed. I didn't clean up my apartment, so it started to stink. And with the windows during the summer, when it was so hot and muggy, I felt like I was melting simply lying down in my bed, but that let the flies in. I rarely brushed my teeth, rarely showered, and hardly ever changed my clothes. There wasn't anything I wanted to do, so I didn't do anything. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't speak to anybody. I just lay in bed for days on end, scrolling through the internet on my phone or on my laptop, reading through some of my favorite light novel series. I had no plans, obligations, or responsibilities. This absence of external stimuli should have cheered me up, and for a few days it did. The knot of anxiety which had been my near-constant companion throughout my time at university began to lessen. Finally, it felt, for the first time in a long while, that I could breathe. But the air, when I breathed it in, stank of rancid food in my own unwashed body. My eyes began to sting. My head pounded. I get headaches all the time back then. Maybe it was because of the smell. It was putrid. I'm surprised the people living in the apartments across the hall didn't complain about me. In time, my abundance of time began to feel more like a curse than a blessing. There were too many hours in the day, and I didn't know how to fill them. Without lectures or essays to worry about, I had no idea what I was supposed to do with myself. Until I reread Tsuchimi Rui's Elf Forest. That's when I hit upon the idea of writing a story of my own. A story set in a fantasy universe bearing some similarities to Elf Forest, but of my own devising. I had the idea for Crimson Fantasia for a while. I've toyed with the idea of writing it, but always managed to talk myself out of it. I thought it'd be a repeat of my time spent trying to blend in with everybody else at university, that my best efforts would all be in vain. Nobody cared about me during the day, in the real world. Why would anybody care about my stories either? Telling it seemed pointless, but I had so much time, I had to do something with it. I suppose that's why I started to write Crimson Fantasia. I didn't have anything better to do. I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, like a man possessed. I soon realized once I began that writing was a pretty fun way to while away the hours. It made the days pass by more quickly, and it gave me a real sense of purpose. I'd hammered out most of the details about Crimson Fantasia's plot and characters already, so I didn't hit any major stumbling blocks. I didn't have to scramble to think up of ideas. I didn't have to sit there agonizing while I wondered where the story should go. I already knew most of that. I just needed to get the story out of my head and onto my laptop, in a format other people could experience. I wanted other people to experience Crimson Fantasia, too. I'd put enough effort into it. So much so, keeping it to myself would seem like a waste. I repurposed this old blog I'd had ages ago, back during high school, into a place to upload Crimson Fantasia. I uploaded my story chapter by chapter, sometimes updating thrice weekly. And I waited, my breath bated, to see what sort of response I'd get. I wasn't expecting miracles, of course. I didn't genuinely think, despite my daydreams, that Crimson Fantasia would attain the same level of critical and commercial success as Elf Forest. Who was I in comparison to Tsuchimi Rui? Nobody, really. I was just a university dropout with an overactive imagination. I told myself when I first began to share Crimson Fantasia that I'd be happy if only one or two people read it. They didn't even need to leave any comments on it. Interesting point here. So Chibi Rui is a character from another one of Ebi-hime's games. So this is the same universe. This is the ebi-hime extended universe. It's all connected. I just wanted to know that my story was out there in the world. That a few people knew it existed and liked it. That would legitimize my efforts. It would prove that writing it wasn't a waste of time after all. My desires were fairly humble, or so I thought. Within the first few days of posting Crimson Fantasia's first chapter to my old blog, they were actually exceeded. Crimson Fantasia's first chapter was viewed 42 times and received comments. 3 of them, in fact. Comments are the absolute blessing of any sort of creator. Engagement is great. Seeing the numbers tick upward is fantastic, but comments are the best thing you can do. I can't remember two of these 3 comments. They were vague words of support, very brief and perfunctory, but I remember the third. I'll never forget it. That was the first comment I ever received from Nagiko. Her feedback, I've always thought of Nagiko as a girl, was far more in-depth than that which the other 2 commenters had left. She typed up several paragraphs exploring her feelings toward the story, its setting, and its characters. She praised the oppressive atmosphere of the story, and how much detail I had gone into when rendering Haru's personality. Nagiko said that she thought Haru was a pitiable sort of character, but she found him compelling. She promised me she would be waiting for the future chapters eagerly, because she couldn't wait to see how Haru would develop. She wanted him to use his second lease of life to become stronger. She wanted him to be happy, too. Naturally, I was elated that my story had prompted such an emotional response from one of its readers, and such a lengthy one at that. Is the female voice we were hearing the real Nagiko? I thought about that review for days afterwards. Whenever it crossed my mind, I smiled. It was Nagiko's early support that encouraged me to keep working on Crimson Fantasia. I reworked the earlier chapters, which I had yet to publish, polishing until they shone. I began to make some changes, too, to the later chapters. Place more of a focus back on Haru's struggles as he traversed the world of Grimoire. I posted new chapters semi-regularly, and Nagiko commented on all of them. Sometimes it took her a day or 2 to leave me a mini-review, but she always did it. She was as reliable as clockwork. She gave me regular feedback for months on end. 2 months on end, in fact, during which I uploaded almost 50 chapters of my sprawling magnum opus. I didn't do anything during these months beyond writing Crimson Fantasia. I wrote, fueled by Nagiko's praise. This idyllic period didn't last forever. These things never do. So on chapter 53 of Crimson Fantasia that Nagiko stopped leaving me feedback. 1 day passed, then 2, then 3, and still Nagiko said nothing about the newest chapter. Well, I tried to tell myself, these things happen. Maybe she's busy. I didn't know a thing about Nagiko's life, but I knew she did have one beyond Crimson Fantasia. She could have been working in night shifts. She could have been studying for exams. She could have been on holiday. I told myself to be patient, and I waited. A week passed. 2 weeks passed. Eventually a month passed, but Nagiko still did not leave a comment on chapter 53 of Crimson Fantasia. I'd written more chapters in the interim and published them, but Nagiko could not give me feedback on any of these either. Neither did anybody else. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I put a huge amount of effort into rendering the world of Crimson Fantasia, but nobody seemed to care about it. Not even Nagiko. 3 months of my life, I had done nothing but work on Crimson Fantasia, and to what end? It had been forgotten about. Nagiko had stopped caring about Grimoire, and about Haru, and about his adventures. Maybe she went through something drastic, we don't know that. But it does hurt. She, who had been my most ardent, steadfast supporter, drifted away from my world, and from me. I think that realization is what broke me. Okay, I think the truth is, we have not actually met Nagiko. I think that's safe to say. I stopped caring about my characters. I stopped caring about my story. I stopped caring about myself too, which is probably why I did it. I stepped out in the middle of the road, just like Haru in the first chapter of Crimson Fantasia. And also like Haru, it was not a mistake. My actions were cold and calculated. It probably caused the driver of the car who hit me untold trauma, but I didn't care about them. I was only thinking about myself. I just wanted to escape. I wanted... You wanted to be happy, right? Well, you can forget about that. You'll never be happy in the real world. People are thoughtless and selfish, and they only ever think about themselves. They don't know how hard life is for you. Even if they did, they wouldn't care. Nagiko didn't care, but I do. Better than she is. You're the idealized Nagiko. Who is our most ardent supporter and fan, and our very loyal girlfriend. That's why you should stay here. Nagi's fingers are gripping my throat tightly enough to burn, but her hair is, by contrast, very soft, like a lover's embrace. She said that she loves me, but I still have my doubts. What is that love based on? After all, you're not Nagiko, then. I'm not. No. You never did pluck up the courage to speak to her. But you really, really wanted to. You did fantasize about it a lot, though. You wanted to talk to her, didn't you? You wanted her to be a pretty, homey girl who would support you, not just with your writing, but with the rest of your life. You wanted her to cook for you and to clean for you. You didn't want her to leave you. You thought, with every message that she sent you, that she might one day fall in love with you. That's why you created me. Aren't I your ideal woman? Isn't this what you want? I open my mouth, perhaps meaning to counter, but Nagi interrupts me. Don't try to argue with me, please. It's a waste of breath. That is a precious resource you can't really afford to waste. I know what it is you want. I know everything that you think. You can lie to everybody else, but you can't lie to me. What? Then that means... I stare at Nagi with such intensity. My eyes threaten to escape their sockets. I can't see my own face, which is probably a blessing. I won't be surprised if my skin is beginning to turn blue. It's hard to breathe, but I still try. I need to know, before I succumb to Nagi's aggressive affection, what exactly she is. Is any of this real? That depends on your definition of the word. I'm sure if it feels real enough, at the moment, but your judgment might not be the best. You did lose a lot of blood. Your thoughts must be all jumbled. I'm sure this has all been very confusing for you, ever since you woke up. I know this world isn't quite the same as the one you're used to. Nagi's fingers are still wrapped around my throat. She hasn't relented at all. If anything, I think she might be squeezing me even harder. Is she trying to prove her love to me? If so, her love is pretty intense. But if this is a dream, why fight against it? Reality's no good. That's why you started writing stories. You couldn't cope with the world, so you had to retreat into your own. You couldn't control your own life, but you could control the lives of your characters. You never had to feel anxious or unsure when you were writing, Because it was all predictable. You planned everything out. You were content with that for a while. But in the end, you got greedy. You wanted more than a made-up happiness. You wanted somebody to love you. You tried to endure your loneliness as best as you could. But everybody has a breaking point. You couldn't keep going. Please make it stop. So you tried to put an end to it. It hurts too much. You tried. I can't keep enduring this. But you failed. You made a mess of things just like you make a mess of everything. Ooh, that cuts hard. Nagi, please. That's alright. I still love you, no matter how much you screw up. I love you no matter how pathetic and pitiable you are. I love you while you're still clinging to life. And I'll love you even after you've died. I'll always love you, Ayumu, like nobody else can. I don't have any choice in the matter. I was born to be in love with you. It hurts so much. I thought I'd already died once, so why? So why didn't you let me do that? Stay with me, Ayumu. I'll take good care of you. Nothing will ever hurt you again. All you need to do is obey me. Don't fight me. You don't want to break my heart, do you? Nagi. My vision is beginning to blur. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. It hurts. But Nagi said she was going to take care of me. If I agree to stay with her, will she let go of me? Will she make the pain go away? I don't want to hurt anymore. I'm tired of hurting. I've been hurting for such a long time and nobody noticed. Nobody cared. The trouble with that is that you have to... After a certain point, you have to reach out for help. You have to recognize that you need help and reach out to get it. The thought of people, strangers swooping in and seeing you're not doing well and being that dream force that brightens your life and pulls you out of a dark abyss and saves you from your suffering. The catalyst to you bettering your life, that as desirable as that might be. I'm not saying it's not something that would ever conceivably happen in any sense of the word, but it is ultimately a fantasy. You can't rely on strangers to swoop in and save you. There are people in your life who will support you if you need that sort of help, but at some point you have to acknowledge that you need help. Taking that step is damn hard, but ultimately that ball is in your court. Nobody but Nagi. It's not like I can fight her off anyway, even if I wanted to. There's nothing I can do but surrender. Nothing I can say except, oh, won't try to escape again. I promise. Oh, Ayumu. Nagi sighs at this, almost breathlessly. Her violet eyes filling as she speaks with emotion. Does that mean you're going to stay with me? Yes, that's right. I'll stay with you. Forever? If you want, I'll always be by your side. I promise. Oh, Ayumu. Nagi bends down. She's still straddling me, her thighs on either side of my chest. Her fingers are still wound about my throat. Now, however, her attempted strangulation seems almost like a gesture of affection. Her fair hair coils against my cheek. It brushes my skin. Her lips purse, and softly she says, I'm so happy to hear you say that. I'll take really good care of you, so please, don't worry. You'll never have to feel like a failure ever again. I'll never make you feel scared or sad. Pour everything into me. Nagi's fingers tighten around my throat. And let it all go. My vision, which was already blurry, starts to skew. The world is running like it's being viewed through a damp, watery window pane. My head is aching. My whole body hurts. And I can forget that when I'm with Nagi. She shifts atop me, leans in, even more closely, her lips pursed. Then, she kisses me. Her lips impress themselves upon mine, even gentler than falling snow, as her fingers continue to form a ring around my neck. My eyelids begin to fall shut, bit by bit. And with one last sigh, I finally surrender myself to Nagi. I let her love consume me. My mind seems to enlarge, it expands. Then, it collapses. My body gives one last, fitful jerk. Ayumu! Oh God, Ayumu! And then everything goes black. That's a lot to unpack. Holy crap. I think I tried in bits and pieces as they came out. It did not go the way I expected. But the reality is possibly even more depressing. Because we've been there. I've been there. It ain't pleasant, but it's not something anyone's going to swoop in out of the blue and save you from. Ultimately, you have to... It's the hardest thing you can possibly do, but... But you can't escape the fact that you have to take that leap. And pull yourself out. There are resources there to help you, but ultimately, there are resources there to support you, but the thought of someone swooping in there, noticing your pain, and being that bright light that pulls you out of it, that's just a fantasy. That's, if it was real, it's never going to be any sort of real positive change for you unless it's a catalyst for you to pull yourself out of it and better yourself. It's going to be slow, but it's going to be slow and it's going to be uphill. There may be dips along the way, but you can do it. But it's never going to be meaningful or permanent change until you take that step. Until you take that step. I'm getting... getting emotional there for a second, I'm sorry. Let us grab a weapon and proceed. Let us take the scissors and see what happens. We have a save here. We should be able to skip through everything. Taking the scissors might be my best bet after all. We should be able to conceal them fairly easily, and the blade should still be sharp enough. If push comes to shove. Push could come to shove to defend myself. I probably won't come to that, of course, but it never hurts to be prepared. I'm just taking the precautions necessary against an unknown enemy. That doesn't mean I'll actually use these scissors, though. I hope I don't have to. With shaking fingers that I reach for the scissors, which lie in their pot, innocent and unassuming in their state of disuse, on the kitchen counter. I clasp them, claim them, and slide them into my pocket, and feel the blades impressing themselves against my thigh, even through the fabric of my trousers. They're cold and unforgiving, as weapons tend to be, designed for no purpose beyond cutting. With some luck, they should be able to cut my connection with Nagi, too. Alright, time to go. Maximum anxiety. nobody but Nagi. I can't abandon her, can I? Ooh, alright. Now if we stay with Nagi... Yeah, okay. If you don't have a weapon, you get railroaded into bad ending. Giving into Nagi's demands would be the easy option. I don't think it's the right option. I've been doing what's easy for the last few months, and it hasn't made me happy. If anything, it's only succeeded to make me feel even more miserable. I thought it'd be better if I kept away from people, but I'm starting to doubt that. I don't want to stay indoors anymore, hiding from the world. I don't want to run away from reality. I thought I was ready to throw my life away. I was wrong. I don't want to die. I want to disappear. There's still a lot I want to do. I want to tell my parents how much I appreciate them. I want to dry my mother's tears. I want to write more words, too, even if nobody's there to read them. Not even Nagiko. She might have lost interest in Crimson Fantasia, but I haven't. I don't want to betray my dreams. I don't want to betray my characters. I have to keep struggling, just like Haru. Exactly. Even if you don't always get that feedback, that response, if you're enjoying it, that's all that matters. And it's this thought which spurs me to take an action quite unlike any Haru would ever take. He's a gentleman, so he never hurt a girl. I have no such compunctions with Nagi, not with her fingers wound round my throat. If she's not going to play nice, I won't either. It's not like it matters that much anyway. Nagi isn't real. I made her up. She's a construct. It's like Haru and Eris and Harmonia, and I put them through a lot worse. I made them suffer horribly for the sake of Crimson Fantasia's story. I can do the same thing with Nagi. I won't let her stop me. Really, Crimson Fantasia taking on such a darker tone, likely an outlet for Ayumu's own feelings towards the world. Let's be real here. My fingers creep surreptitiously to my pocket where my scissors are stashed. This might be the right answer. My eyes narrow with determination, and then... Ayumu, what do you... I strike. Ah! Oh, Nagi. Pull the scissors from my pocket as quickly as I'm able, and thrust them upwards. The scissors plunged in Nagi's cheek. Like a banshee, she shrieks, "Oh, shit. Oh, God!" Nagi stumbles back, one hand clasped over her face. Nagi's shoulders are convulsing. Red, sticky blood is seeping between her splayed fingers. Drips against the carpeted floor like falling rain. Drip, drip, drip. Nagi's fingers are slick with the stuff. Might as well be strawberry jam. Her face, however, is ghostly white, the same color as flour. Her chest rises and falls erratically beneath her blouse. Aghast, she glowers at me and says, "You'll regret this, Ayumu. How could you? How could you?" I only did what I have to do. My voice is remarkably calm, despite the adrenaline that's coursing through my body. I wipe my scissors down on my shirt, then get to my feet. Oh, this music. I look down at Nagi, who's slumped on the ground, still bleeding, and say, "Don't act like you wouldn't have done the same to me. You were trying to choke me." "I was trying to help you." "Yes, I know. That's what you thought. Staying here isn't helpful. You'll never get anything done like this." "You hypocrite. You were the one who shut yourself away here in the first place. This was what you wanted. I wanted to make your dreams come true. Everything I did for your sake, and this is how you repay me. How could you?" "I'm horribly heartless, I know. But I still don't think I owe you anything. I mean, you're not really my girlfriend, are you? You're just a phantom I created. Nagi might have taken on the form of a cute girl, but she's nothing more than a shadow. She's my shadow. The true self. Sorry, I know you meant well, but this..." I look around the apartment foyer, at the flickering lights and the flashing exit sign. This isn't what I want anymore. I have given up on my goals, my ambitions, even my stories. The real Nagiko is still out there. She told me she wanted to read the rest of Crimson Fantasia, so I can't disappoint her. I want to give it a satisfying conclusion, for her sake. But she doesn't care about you, Ayumu, not like I do. She abandoned you. Maybe she did. That's alright, though. I don't need her approval to keep writing. I don't need anybody's approval. I am right. Some days it's nice for a dose of serotonin, but you should do it because you want to do it, not because you want people to like the fact that you're doing it, and not because you want people to like what you're doing. I still want to keep going. I want to finish what I started, at the very least. That means I can't let things end here. So you're going to go back. You're going to subject yourself to being alone, to being miserable, in a world you can't stand. To finish off some stupid story nobody else cared about. Yeah, I guess I am. Something is true, Persona. The Giga Chad. Because it sounds a little silly when you phrase it like that. It's not true, you know, that nobody cares about Crimson Fantasia. Nagiko doesn't. Maybe she doesn't. I do, though. I'm not so jaded that I've given up, even if you have. I want to see how my story ends. It'd be a waste not to. I let my scissors drop to the floor, then glance about. I'm breathing heavily, more so than I have in a long time. It's been a while since I exerted myself like that. It's been a while since I exerted myself in general. I don't often leave my apartment. Is that why I found myself trapped here, in my half-formed, embryonic dreamland? I came, over the last few months, to associate my apartment with safety. Nobody ever came to visit me, and nobody called me, apart from my parents, and even then that was sparingly. I didn't have to answer to anybody other than myself. I never held myself accountable for my actions. I didn't want to. I couldn't handle the outside world, like Nagi so succinctly said, so I hid from it. I'm sitting in the same spot, unmoving. I was, in essence, running away. I'm tired of running now, though. I spent too long in this apartment already, in the real world. I don't want to be stuck here in my dreams, too. Not with Nagi, who's still bleeding on the floor. Perforated cheek is still oozing blood. Blood which changes colors with the flickering of the lights overhead. Sometimes her blood looks black. Other times it looks bright red. Her lips, meanwhile, are pursed, like princesses from the fairy tales. She looks like she's waiting for a kiss. I know if I bent down to grant her request, I might be able to take all of her pain away. I'm sure that she would forgive me for hurting her. She has no choice in the matter. I'm the one who created her. She's my delusion, just like Eris and Harmonia. She exists to love me, which is, I suppose, a nice enough fantasy. I can't say I dislike the thought of being doted on by a pretty young girl like Nagi forever and ever. But would it really be satisfying when her love isn't real? This is a daydream I could do without. It's finally time to wake up. Oh! Wake up! Let's do it. Oh! And it closes just like that. And if we relaunch. Ebi-hime logo. Cute. Spooktober. Yep. We are now. It is time for us to leave. And time for us to face the real world. I don't actually know if picking the knife is the wrong decision. It is a bit too late to go back and check, but that's okay. Because really, that's the most important realization Ayumu could have. That he's not going to get any better sitting back and shutting down and trying to hide from the world. It's going to hurt. But, it's going to hurt. But only by enduring that hurt can you ever get better. It's not going to be easy. It's never going to be easy. If it was ever easy, then there would never be any That sentence... I don't know where that sentence was going, but I'm going to abandon it. But, yeah, it's markedly easy to shut down and to shut yourself off when things get difficult, when things get hard to bear. And it's really easy. It feels like the right decision, because I don't want to have that conversation with my family, so I'm just going to not and pretend everything's okay. Even though having that conversation with my family is the step that we needed to start getting help. I don't want to have that conversation with my family because it made me feel like a failure. I don't want that. Don't want that. I'm not here to fail. It's the worst feeling. Like you've come this far, all this time, and having failed, it sucks. It's hard to bear. It's heartbreaking. Admitting that you failed, that you let people down. It's way easier to shut down. Shut yourself off. Hide from your problems. Ignore people's phone calls. It does feel easier cutting yourself off from your responsibilities. Then you do have to deal with that question of what do you fill your time with then? If you've cut yourself off abruptly from these responsibilities that were causing you all this stress to begin with, what do you fill that time with? And that question inevitably ultimately just weighs on you even more. This is circling back on my life in multiple ways. Then that just makes you feel like even more of a failure, because you can't... I guess I'm circling back to the sense of the paralyzing indecision of cutting yourself off from a thing because you don't feel like you can do it, and if you try and do it, you feel like you're going to fail to do it. You don't want to feel like a failure, so instead of trying to do it, feeling like a failure, you just don't do it, and then you feel like a failure for not doing anything, for not doing it. You know you should, but you can't. The paralyzing spiral of fear of loneliness, fear of failure in terms of reaching out to people, fear of failure to make friends, fear of failure to fit in that environment. It's suffocating. And ultimately, you're not going to get out of it until you face those have those conversations with the people around you, and face everything that you've been pushing to the side. Once you do, then you can set yourself on the path to bettering yourself. It ain't easy, but you have to step up, take the pain, accept the fact that it's okay that you're not going to get it right the first time. It's okay that you're not going to get through it all the first time. It's like, I think one of the things I recommend is just small steps. Just do something, just for the sake of getting something done. Get out of bed. Just take a shower. If that's all you can manage in a day, that's fine. That's something you did. That's an accomplishment, and that matters. Take a shower. Maybe next time you take a shower, brush your teeth as well. If you've done that, maybe then you turn your attention to something else. Just little things you build upon them. It's long road. Like I said before, it's a long road. It's never easy. It's not always an uphill progression. Like, there'll be days when you feel like an absolute shit, feel like an absolute failure, that you can't do anything right. Just gotta tank for a while. There'll be days where it feels like your world's collapsing again, but you just gotta endure, get back up the next day. That day's in the past, that day's written off. Get up, try again, keep at it. There's so much in here that just resonated with me, way more than I expected. Even just the initial glimpse of where the story might be going. Obviously, I way underestimated in part one how far this story was going to go, and it resonated with me on several levels. Down to the shutting yourself off from the world, the not fitting in, fear of failure, even down to the Crimson Fantasia bit with the doing something from doing something for the sake of the feedback and the engagement. As a small content creator, if I can call myself that, as opposed to doing it just because you like doing it. I think one of the things I'm happiest about these days, being on this platform, is that at some point I turned the corner to the point where it's like, obviously there are times in the past where I've been like, why am I even doing this if it's not going to reach anyone? But at some point, I'm happiest that it turned the corner to the point where I'm just happy doing this shit. There's even a few people who gotta come and check out me rambling and narrating over games I think are cool. That's enough. If it reaches anyone, I'm grateful for that. But most importantly, I just like doing this. I just really like doing this. I'm going to keep doing it for as long as I'm enjoying myself. Anyone who happens to come along for the ride and check it out, leave likes, comments, get those. That's a bonus. That's a bonus that I'm absolutely grateful for, but I'm enjoying this. I'm turning that corner from obviously never, like, really. I've considered letting it go a few times over numbers and the like, but it's never, like, gone full, brought me into bad places, but turning that corner and doing it because I like doing it. That's been the best possible turn that I could have taken on this front. I'm gonna keep doing it as long as I like doing it. Anyone who comes along the way, it's just a bonus that I'll always be grateful for. People watching this far, who do leave comments and the like, I'm glad you've come along for the ride. And I hope, that's why I always say, I hope you enjoyed the ride, because I did. But I think for now, this utterly mesmerizing, unnerving, and yet emotional journey, which led to us pulling ourselves out of a dark place. It's time for us to let it go and move on. It's time for us to wake up. Until next time, until then. Thanks for watching.